We are called to reveal God, not to reveal self. So consider the example of Jesus, the anointed one. Let his mindset be your motivation, because God says, I'm going to give you influence. It has never been a problem for God to give men influence. The only problem is when men want to take the place of God. That's only the problem. That's only the problem. So, what are we to do? Number one, guard your heart against ambition. That's very important. Every believer must embark on that. The state of your heart at salvation is the business of God. The state of your heart after salvation is your responsibility as a believer. God is responsible for the change of heart, right? From the heart of stone to the heart of flesh. That happens at salvation. But after salvation, the believer becomes responsible for the state of his heart. That's why the Bible will say, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. You now have the responsibility to guard your heart. When you want to do something, you've got to ask yourself the question, what is my motive for it? Am I doing ministry because it feels good to do it? Or because I just want to do it? Or because I want to just gather men and lead them? Is that why I'm doing it? Are you just ambitious and say, I also want to have a voice? You know, everybody wants to be a voice. Yeah, it's good. God has called us to be voices. But are you amplifying what God is saying, or you are just making noise? You can have the microphone and be saying what God is not saying. I've been preaching for about 25 years. The greatest problem for me as a preacher is not what to preach, is to preach what God is preaching. I have notes upon notes. Started teaching this thing from the age of 16. I have notes, all kinds of notes. But the question on the mind of the preacher, a good preacher, is what is God saying this morning? Because if you say what God said yesterday is different from what God is saying today. God knows the state of his flock. So one of my favorite scriptures, I think, is Isaiah chapter 50 verse 4. He said, I wake you up morning by morning so that I can speak a word in season. Morning by morning. So you cannot come with yesterday's bread and be feeding people today. Do you understand? That's why believers have constipation. Somebody can be feeding you from the revelation of 2 years ago and not what God is saying in the moment. The preacher's job is to find out what God is saying for now. So guard your heart against ambition.